We started the Black Taxi Commune sometime last year. The effort is to build a room like this with all the entrepreneurs from different brands coming together to just have an honest conversation. The more that I've been in this industry, I think most of the founders here would agree with me that a lot of the founders don't have colleagues. Your colleague is most likely your Master G, maybe some karigars. Of course, your accountant, who will ask you Excel sheet questions that will make you cry. You don't have answers to them. But we're all building brands, but we rarely get a chance to sit in a room with founders and honestly talk about the stressors, the pressures, the questions, the growth, the scale, the teams. There's so many things to discuss. And I think a lot of you guys gave me feedback from the last panel that it was just a fabulous change and moment that kind of helped you go back and look at things differently. I'm hoping we get a similar feedback from this one. Entrepreneurship is nothing but generally fighting one crisis after another. And if we can fight that crisis together, or at least just maybe lean on each other instead of the competitive environment that this industry has built, I think we'd be able to grab a lot more and lives would just be happier. So let's get started. Let's get started one conversation at a time, one crisis management at a time, and one delayed production at a time. So I wanted to start with the introductions. They hardly need an introduction. I know you know everything there is to know about these people. But I want to start with our first panelist. She's someone who's shaped the Indian fashion design industry across generations of change. Long before our content-driven world became the norm, she built her brand on longevity. She built it on craftsmanship and identity. Over the years, she's continued to evolve, but she's continued to be deeply recognizable. And you know how difficult that is in the fashion industry. Let's give a huge round of applause to Payal Singhal. Payal, I especially love what you're doing with the PS Carnival. I think it's bringing craftsmanship, community, and fashion in a beautiful way together. Our second panelist is one who's built a creative language that instantly is identifiable. It's thoughtful, restrained, and deeply intentional. In an industry that's constantly rewarding noise and speed, he's stuck in it, and he's deeply rooted in emotions, clarity, and design integrity. Over the years, he's navigated this balance between creativity, relevance, and business, while staying true to his distinct point of view. Let's give a huge round of applause to Nachiket. So guys, you all know this, but Nachiket's done a lot of work across fashion, across cinema costumes, and theater performances, right? So he perhaps understands drama more than any of us in the room. So, quick one for you. Who do you think is the most dramatic? Is it your clients? Is it the actors? Or is it the industry, the fashion industry?
I think drama in fashion is like Medusa. You know, you chop one head off, there's another one coming. And it's an endless cycle. So there's no end of drama. I think I like to keep the drama hopefully outside the home and go to bed peacefully. So,
our third panelist is, she represents a newer generation of entrepreneurs. She's building her brand with remarkable speed and scale. Through Amama, she's created a contemporary jewelry brand that has grown rapidly while building a strong community and a strong retail presence. She reflects the realities of modern growth, which is essentially visibility, expansion, and scale, and of course the pressures that come with it. Let's give a huge round of applause to Nikita Gupta. I think I speak for everyone in the room when I say this. Nikita is responsible for a lot of my spends on jewelry. She's definitely getting a bill after this now that I've met her. So before we get into a very serious conversation about growth and scaling and all of your questions that you guys have, I wanted to put our panelists just quickly for a short moment on the spot. Just have some very short, rapid-fire questions. Nachiket, most overrated word in the industry?
Iconic. I just did a little story on that yesterday. Everything is iconic. You know, there's a papaya which is iconic. There's an outfit which is iconic. There's a woman who's iconic. There's no end to iconic. I think it's the most. I wish everybody gave me a dime. And the other one is PP. If I get 1 rupee for every PP, I think I'll be driving a Maybach.
Talk about PPs. Payal, last thing that gave you founder anxiety.
I mean, every day at 7 p.m. I get founder's anxiety because that's when the office is closing and I need approvals. So approval. So every evening I have founder's anxiety. So it just happened like a few minutes back. So
Perfect. Nikita, for you, one Insta trend that you secretly hate.
Okay, as a mother, I really find this very amusing when mothers post their kids and put like stars and smileys on the kids' faces. Either you don't post the kid, yeah. So I find it a little weird and
I saw
funny.
I saw croissant lately.
Oh, on the face.
On the face. First, I was wondering if the croissant was the story, and then I was like, oh, the croissant is not the story. Okay. Now we'll get into our discussion. Payal, this one's actually for you. You've built your brand before this whole era of algorithms, content. So, do you think that the world today rewards creativity as much as it did previously, or do you think that the world is rewarding visibility and attention more than creativity?
I think personally it's more democratic now, and I think that's always better. At our time, there was a lot more. You had to kind of to pander to a few people to maybe get your name out there. It was pretty much just few editors that were responsible for your fate, and I was not able to do that. So I'm a product of, in spite of that, I was able to do it. But today you don't have to do that. So if you have a good product, and so when people talk about the visibility being a negative, it's not. Because I'll tell you what, product is king. So if you put your content out, and if someone only, you can talk about any algorithm you want, and I'm sure Nikita will tell you all day long, sitting in meetings with, what content to push and what, it doesn't matter. Every single time you put something good out there, that's the thing which will go viral. That's the one you'll get the likes on. That's the one you'll get the PPs on, So to me, social media has made fashion and creative people more accessible in a more democratic way. So I prefer the way it is today. So
Very interesting. Actually, Nachiket, the next question's for you, and do you think it's kind of a follow-up to the conversation with Payal? Do you think that all of the pressure in all of this, the quieter brands, do they get any attention, or do you have to be loud if you want to be out there?
After doing this for so long, I mean, it'll be 20 next year. So I've come to the realization, and she has founder's anxiety at 7 p.m. I have it at 5:30 because that's when my sugar dips, and I'm like, oh my God, मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, क्यों कर रहा हूँ? Like existentialist crisis in various forms, kind of come in. And like you said in my introduction, and I was kind of reflecting on that, saying, slow and quiet. I mean, in a way, perhaps it makes me. I mean, okay. So let me kind of reconnect to that. You asking me which is better? I think for all founders, at some point, you're only going to be a version of yourself. So if you're somebody who likes to be loud and out there, you will be loud and out there. If you're somebody who naturally is a certain way, there's only so much amplification that you're going to be able to do. Now, it's a choice. You want to stay quiet or you want to kind of make a big bang. Then you may need help from somebody else. In today's world, I feel on the whole, it's a balance. Like your product can only be bought and your business can grow if you are seen, but there is a certain kind of scene that you want to be also. I mean, like I feel I'm like a dinosaur when it comes to social media compared to say Nikita here or Payal also.
Nikita.
And no, really, and I feel like, I mean, maybe one reel goes viral and you've got so many comments and the conversion is like arey itna sab dhoom dham, and then nothing comes out of it. And then you have got something which has got like, maybe the views are lesser, but you've converted massively. So I think you have to find your own balance. I mean, you can only be you in a certain way. A giraffe can't become an elephant and vice versa. You know, maybe you become a taller giraffe or a shorter giraffe, but you will be a giraffe.
Fabulous. Nikita, so Amama has grown at a pace that most brands, especially in this room, aspire to. And all of this growth has obviously come with a lot of pressure, I'm guessing. So how does that make you feel? Is it overwhelming? Has it been, how's growth been?
I mean, as you said, it has been very up there, but yeah, it really has come with a lot of pressure, and I'm second guessing every other day whether we are doing the right thing. Am I doing the right thing? So there is no end to it, and there is going to be never you thinking that you have made it, because I don't think that can ever happen where you feel you have made it. I don't know who feels that way, but the pressure is always going to be there, because you forever are evolving as a brand, as a founder of the brand, and you're thinking now that a little bit you have achieved with your online presence, then offline is your next thing, then what store next, what collection next, what product next. So it's going to be like never ending.
But also, does that bring the pressure of constantly being at it? Like, does it scare you that if I slow down right now, will I be here tomorrow morning when I wake up?
Because we know how quickly everything is evolving, and with internet, the access, it's too much. It's overwhelming for each and every one of us. It's too much. We are consuming so much. We are storing so much over here. It's a lot. So we will have to stay relevant. Everyone wants to stay relevant. Everyone wants to go viral. Everyone wants to become a creator. Everyone wants to become a founder who's a creator, because the team is telling you that, you know what, you need to push the content through you. And if not every founder wants to, no, everyone says,
yeah.
I'm a camera shy person, why should I? But it's the need of the hour. You will have to evolve. And it's also now AI. Oh my God, AI is really...
Yeah.
I think if you're a creative person, I don't think you can be satisfied.
Yeah.
And that is actually the real proof of the fact that you are a creative person. Because if you sit down and say, I have arrived or I have achieved it, that means actually you're not truly creative. Because there's a dissatisfaction in creative people. And honestly, the minute I finish something, I hate it. So that's how our attention span is also. It's like everyone has ADD, you know. And honestly speaking, you are as good as your last collection also.
True.
Sadly, no matter how many years you work, this is my 27th year, but I'm as good as my last collection. And that's sadly the nature of our business. So,
you know, I think this is on a little tangential note, but it's also very important for creative founders to kind of define what their version of success means to them.
Yeah.
Because I think today in the age of like kind of social media, I mean, everybody's most filtered, curated, varnished, like highlight reel of successes is out there.
Yeah.
And maybe like all of us have got kind of like, look at trajectories of people and say, oh, this is what I want to do, or this is what the goalpost looks like. I think it's also important to redefine that goalpost for you and try and find meaning in what you're doing to do better work along the way. Because I feel the business also can be all consuming. And I mean, my wife is sitting right here, and although she's integrally involved with the business as well, I mean, we just don't have a switch off button like Shashish, like we'll go home and not talk about work. And that obviously never happens because, like we are, talking about it day or night or in the middle of the night or whatever, because that's bound to be. But in the process of it, what does it mean for you and how are you going to achieve? I think it's very important to benchmark without it being like a constantly shifting goalpost based on others' trajectories.
Yeah, but I think it's only natural that goalpost just keeps moving away, because the minute you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do, open your Instagram, and then there's like 10 other brands that have done it. And then I go to the office and my team's like, no, Parul, we have to put you out there. We have to make a reel with your face in it. And I'm like, kuch bhi dal do, mera face mat dalo, mujhe nahi dalna. But it ends up, I agree with you, it shouldn't be. But I think that's a mental note that we all need to make, that our own goalpost has to be defined by us. And let's just focus on that, because otherwise we're only going to be paying a lot for therapy. this not
Can I
going
just
anywhere.
add to this, because I do pay a lot for therapy because of this, that just remember one thing, is that when you open your Instagram in the morning and you go through the highlights, you're looking at, say, 20 designers have done 20 lovely, interesting, cool things. Someone's at Paris Fashion Week, someone's doing something in, I don't know, wherever. You are seeing 10 people's hard work of the year in that one highlight, and you are comparing it to you who's one. Compare it to that one person's one highlight. Just remember that. And that's something which gives me solace, and learning to look at it that way, because like Nachiket said, we're looking at a curated feed. Everyone is putting out their best work. Yeah. And you are comparing you alone as one founder, one person, one owner to hundreds of people who are on Instagram. Wow, someone's content is good, someone's product is good, someone's marketing is good. So how can you be everything and everyone? And coming back to exactly what we're talking about, your own benchmark. Like, for example, most designers' kind of goalpost right now is to be funded. Mine is not. And I'm very happy to be self-funded and to not be answerable to anybody. And that's my ultimate goal. So,
Great. I'm really going to put a pin in that one because I'm coming back to funding. Because that is a question that a lot of people in the audience have spoken to me multiple times about. But guys, one thing that I forgot to mention right in the beginning is that Black Taxi Commune was never to be meant as a one-sided discussion. So the floor is constantly open. We don't want to do a Q&A session in the end only. At any point, we're all entrepreneurs, you're all creative guys building your own brands. So all of you guys have a perspective and opinion, something that resonates with you, something that you don't agree with. Please feel free to tell us as we go along in the conversation. It's a two-way conversation all the way. My next question is just to define growth. So I am surrounded by a lot of startup people. My husband is one as well. So the conversation around growth is always like 0 to 1 hota hai, 1 to 10x hota hai, 10x to 100x hota hai, uske baad aap unicorn ban jate ho. Like, I mean, that's just how startup conversations go, right? Does fashion look at growth like that? Should fashion look at growth like that? What do you think about it?
Me?
So this is one open question.
So we'll all answer it now. We're all at different stages of our career, right? So again, I'm repeating, after 27 years, I believe it or not now, so I went to fashion school. I didn't go to business school. And for 27 years, I believed I was a designer. And suddenly, I had the aha moment, I'm an entrepreneur. And it took me 27 years to realize that. And I have no education in that. Everything I've learned is on the job. And really at this point to look back and think, is this a number game? What is next? What's next? To me, I have reached it because I have that kind of, maturity to understand age, experience, that, okay, I'm satisfied here. But for younger founders, I know that's very confusing and intimidating because you can't really come into your own without experience and age, You have to understand that's an important aspect. So it's easy for me to say that, yes, I'm satisfied, I am where I am. Of course, everyone wants to do better. Everyone wants a higher turnover. I'm not going to deny that. But do I necessarily want to, go to, whatever, 10x to 100x? But I want to just say one thing, that 0 to 10 is very easy. It's the 10 to 100, which is kind of where we are probably at, which is where the education comes in. And the lack of it shows in our work. And today I made peace with it because, you can't cry over spilt milk. I did not go to business school. I went to fashion school. But this is something, again, like whenever I'm on a discussion like this, I want people to take something home. So I want you to know that if you are thinking of going from 10 to 100, and if that's where you guys are at as founders, please invest in educating yourself. Go out there and do that scaling up course. Go and do that MBA. Because believe me, organically, nothing happens. It's it's a complete number game which needs strategy, which needs data, and that's when you can't sit and say that, my designs are good and I'll make it. They're extremely talented. I'm sure everyone will nod here. Extremely talented designers who have no numbers to show, who have shut businesses, who have not been able to hack it. So the difference between the ones who do and don't is the ones who understand the numbers.
You know, I have a very kind of unorthodox background when it came to what I did. I mean, my parents were both doctors, and they had nothing to do, and they still don't understand anything in fashion really. So for me, people always ask me saying, you know, how did you become a designer? And I have a repeat answer which says that the nurse dropped me on my head, because there is no other logical reason how there was no fashion, not even the molecular fashion anywhere in my background. So I think also when we're talking of this whole startup movement or something, see, we also have to realize this is a conversation in the last 3, 4, 5 years. Like, I mean, I kind of started almost 20 years ago, and at that time, being a designer by itself was such a rare phenomenon that you were like a flamingo in like a crow pen, you know. I mean, because you were like, "Arey, like, ye kya hai? Kaun hai?" Like, I mean, literally from there. So, and Payal even before me. So, the journey of like designers being looked at as macaws and like one random like exotic creature, to it being such a kind of widely followed, widely understood profession, to now it being kind of corporatized and like, you know, almost becoming like an industry where there's numbers. I also speaking for my behalf, although maybe a lot of you are the same, is that we all became designers because we have a sense of passion, we have a sense of creativity, and we have a sense of kind of commitment in, you know, beauty, textile, craft. I don't think, at least for me, I mean, I assume that you kind of like what Payal said, you know, you do good work and kind of it leads to success. Now, what is that success needs to be defined, because also, I mean, being a designer and an entrepreneur today is like the left and the right brain working together, and some of us cannot be both. I mean, I envy designers who have like, say, you know, like legions of family members kind of supporting the business, because I mean, like, what a luxury. Imagine going into office every day and saying, today I'm feeling inspired by Roman architecture, and you know, now I want a little nap to rest my grey cells. I mean, like, here I'm like firefighting from morning to night. You know, we've kind of like, I mean, Surbhi looks at the Excel sheet. I still can't operate an Excel sheet because like those numbers drive me batty. I become like Tare Zami par, you know, like all of it swirling like after a certain point. So once you kind of have to understand who you are, maybe we'll never become 100x unless there is a like some kind of like funding slash investment or whatever. But you have to kind of navigate it on your own. I mean, you either find help or try and set up a system if you cannot do it yourself. Like, you have to kind of understand that. But like this whole mad rush that, you know, not everybody is going to become, say, a 100x unicorn or whatever. I mean, you have to kind of figure it out for yourself, do your best, but also acute self-awareness, because then you're trying to kind of go on a path for which you're not very ill-suited, you know, and I think that's like a recipe for disaster. For me, if you ask me what is success, it's, I mean, by God's grace, being able to pay my salaries on time, pay my vendors on time, making sure those karigars' kids are, you know, educated, health is taken care of, vagera, vagera, vagera. We just opened our store like few months ago in Kala Ghoda, small store because the rents are like selling a kidney. But keeping that afloat and making it work in my own self-sustained, self-funded way is more important for me. I know so many designers, I mean, like, you know, it's all like the Taj Mahal, you know, like all shiny and like, you know, marble and glass, and the back end is all cardboard and like, you know, styrofoam, because the business is not healthy at all. And maybe you sleep better when you're kind of standing on your two firm feet by yourself rather than trying to put on a show for the world. I mean, there are few who crack it and the business is healthy and then they're doing it. The rest is just keeping up with the Joneses. And I mean, I don't want to be in that position where you're just doing it because, arey, kitna bada designer, and inside it's all kind of crumbling and, you know, falling apart.
For me, I think growth really will be defined by what my journey has been. And now the brand started in a certain way, and now we are kind of into the whole D2C startup journey, being a very D2C brand. And as Payal rightly said, I was not part of this journey at all. I thought I'm just going to make pretty designs and that's it. What else do I have to learn? What is this ROI se bitta? And I don't want to learn all these terms. यार क्या मेरे को क्या करना है सबको learn करके? But it fell flat for me, and I raised a round. I have raised actually 2 rounds of funding. And the only reason for me to raise those rounds of funding is because I didn't want to do this friends and family thing. And I didn't want anyone to, I was like, I'm ready to answer to someone outside, but I don't want to answer anyone in the family. That was my thing. Everyone has a personal choice. Maybe it was coming from the fact that I was raised in a very patriarchal setup, and I didn't want any man to come and question, क्या करा, loss कैसे हो गया यहाँ पे. So I said, I'd rather answer a man outside who's going to show some interest in my brand, is showing some faith in me and my brand. I'd rather answer that person. So for me, I think growth was defined by when someone decided to invest in me and my brand. Because one thing, I know you're other questions are around funding. One thing that I can tell you is that every investor in a small scale business or in a bigger fund setup, they only invest in you. They don't know your numbers. They will see all those things later, but they only invest in you. So for me, I think that was the biggest growth parameter because a lot of other parameters मेरे तो सब हिले हुए थे. मुझे कुछ नहीं पता था EBITDA और gross margin. I didn't even know what is a gross margin. I was like ये सब तो स्कूल में सिखाया ही नहीं.
It's also like understand that a mama is a scalable business.
Yeah.
You see, you have to understand the nature. What Nachiket, I'll just sum it up. What Nachiket said and what a mama said, I mean Nikita said for mama, is that you need to recognize who you are as a person, as a founder. How media shy are you? Whether you want to be a content creator, whether you want to be answerable to, what is your temperament? I have zero temperament to answer to anybody. I cannot even answer to my own husband and mother who are my business partners, by the way. I'm like, my way or the highway, okay? But I'm just saying, as jokes aside, it's like you have to know who you are, you have to know your product, and you have to be honest. Because like she said, they invest in you. Yes, numbers matter, of course. But let me tell you one thing. No one is coming in to invest in a company which is already making money. The whole point of investing in you is so you make money. Because they just see potential. And this is something which, Nikita, I've spoken to so many investors. And this is exactly what they tell me. Because when they invest on businesses on paper, it's who are they investing in? There is no business. It is the person they're investing in, the passion, the drive. And when you see big companies like Ola and stuff, they've invested in the person, not in the business as much. You know?
But that's the thing, because we got invested last year in and by a fund which is Mumbai based only. And first, with my first fund, which was we did with a Delhi based fund, her first question, you are a single female founder. I was like, so what is the problem with that? But she said, we don't really invest in single female founder. I said, but this is me, this is who I am. And you are not only looking for men who are going to be IIT IMs, who are going to make big mark in the industry or in this D2C startup world. I have conviction for my brand. If you see value, then you go ahead. But it's not going to be that just to get money on board, I'm going to get a co-founder or a man to support me and feel that now I'm full, now you give me the money. So I didn't do that. And with the second investor, it just changed. And he said that we want to invest in you. So in case if everything goes well and ever you reach the stage of a buyout or something, we are never going to let you go because you're the essence of the brand. If you go out, the brand is nothing. It cannot function by some big conglomerate taking you over and then taking the same ethos forward. So a lot of times this happens when brands get taken over by bigger conglomerates and they say that if the person who's running the brand is kept aside, then the brand is not going to be having the same journey. We have a lot of examples of such brands, by the way.
It's interesting that, you know, a few things that came out of this for me was a lot of the times when you look at, again, going back to my Instagram feed and doom scrolling, and I look at, oh, Amma got funding, she must know everything. Matlab, genius hogi. But now when she's sitting here, she's telling us, I don't understand this, I don't understand that, and I don't understand the numbers. That's actually the reality behind the screens that we all should recognize and know, like Payal said, also, but know who you are. Do we want funding? Do we not want funding? Does that work for me? I think those are very important questions to ask because blind optimism ke saath we can only run that far. And I think we'll hit a wall before we know it. And burnouts are real. And therapists are getting richer. So that's the most fascinating thing that I thought when we put this panel together. I don't know if all of you guys are aware, but Payal started her brand in '99. Nachiket started his brand in 2007. And Nikita started in 2019. There are 3 different decades, 3 different eras, 3 different playbooks, just coming from different spaces. So it's just bringing different perspectives in, and I think every perspective is correct. Every perspective gets you there. Of course, growing is great. And with growth also comes some kind of pressure. Growth is coming always at a price. So as you grow, with or without funding, what is the first thing that breaks? Because you're growing. You've put a
Cash flow. That's the first thing that goes out of the window. Because when you grow, you hire more, you increase your footprint, you have more stores, you have more people, you have more products, so you invest in the product and marketing goes higher and all. But the sales have not matched the investment yet. So I think that's the first thing which starts to, so you start to, when you are going up, then you start to grow and then you start to see the dip. And then, especially for someone like me who's been in the business 27 years and you enjoyed a nice upward like climb, and then suddenly when you want to grow and expand, like right after COVID, we started. So I was telling someone the story that my second store, for the longest time, and I totally agree with Nachiket that this smokes and mirrors that goes on in our business, we have fancy ass stores in the front and everything, like they are in debt and they are, overdraft. And I don't even know what borrowed from the industry and all that. We were never like that. Like, I believed in living, forget within my means, under my means, in the business. I mean, not in my personal life, in my business. So I was very conservative in that. And we had one store on Altamount Road for 27 years. We started to expand after COVID. And honestly, as glamorous as it looks from the outside, we know the struggle. Like he said, if you are able to pay your salaries every month and rents, whatever, you are successful. We made it through COVID. I'm very successful. I could keep my business running through COVID. So the first thing that starts to break is the stress of where's this money going to come from. You have to really have thick skin and determination and complete belief in yourself that, and I'm in that phase right now. I'm in that growth phase. So I'm telling you, it's what I'm doing right now. Just pure belief, because I have some history and some data that I will do it. But right now, it's very scary,
Nachiket?
I think what breaks first is your old mindset. I think you can only achieve growth if you're willing to let go of the way you've been thinking, your default patterns and your default systems. Like we all have, without realizing, a certain approach to problems, a certain trigger, a certain thing that we find ourselves kind of, walking in a loop. And I think that growth happens the minute, like suddenly while that you've leapt out of that into a bigger spiral. And I think that is something that one has to be flexible enough to kind of be receptive to. Like there comes a moment you're pushing, and suddenly the wall breaks. But that is where I think growth happens. So it starts from within. Of course, I fully agree with Payal. I mean, now that we have a store, we've always operated from a studio. And like ever since Kala Ghoda was opened, I mean, December, Jan, Feb, we're like, wow, this is like fab. And March, I'm like, holy shit, like, kya ho raha hai? Then you're calling the stores next door saying, walk-ins hai, nahi hai, kya ho raha hai?
In Kala Ghoda, if you go now, just walk around, all the sales staff is standing outside, sale hua. There is no sales in Kala Ghoda. I told Nachiket before you opened.
I know.
Huh? I'm opening a store next month.
Welcome. Come. Our sales staff will talk to each other.
Yeah.
So
No, but again,
I've heard that before from other brands. Sir.
So no, Nirvan told me, Payal also told me, but I mean for us, I'm just kind of, because all our customers were coming to Bombay, like even outsiders, and then 2 दिन हमने काला घोड़ा में shopping कर लिया, भाई हम जा रहे हैं. I'm like, what the fuck, like, I mean, like, studio उधर कौन आएगा? We said, चलो ठीक है, भले छोटा store is start. So that sense of crazy mad belief also is a part of your growth, where you just say, okay, fine, we'll just do it. Let's see where it goes.
I think it's like, you have like on 5th Avenue or you have on Linking Road, you have to have a flagship store, and it's kind of your marketing cost. I honestly look at my rent as my marketing cost right now, because it's like, if I'm going to start, because honestly the sales are happening elsewhere. They're happening online, they're happening on Instagram, they're happening on WhatsApp. So it's not like the sales are not happening. But what we were saying is, every time you invest and every time you try to grow, you are going to have to really have balls of steel to see it through, So
And especially, I mean, like I don't know how previous generations were living in thing. एक तो COVID, फिर एक war, फिर एक Ukraine, फिर एक ये. अभी today only there's this Hanta virus. I don't know what is going on. It's like you're like praying to dear God.
It started with I had the best financial year before demonetization.
Same year.
Demonetization. Then it became GST. Thank you, Fatima. GST. All the designers here.
I know. I started and demonetization happened, and I was in a 3-tier city.
Yeah.
My first or second exhibition, and not a fly spotted. So like you're saying, sales staff were talking, we were all. And I was building my website, and thank God
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Because in COVID, that was actually what helped.
Yeah. So the last 10 years has actually been really tough because to navigate all these hurdles,
Yeah.
like that's something, Nikita, hats off, man, because you have grown in this period. So that is the
But
crazy part.
that was going to be my answer to this. What breaks? What actually broke for me in this growth journey was my delusion.
Yeah.
I was actually delusion. Oh, I've raised my first funding. I've made it. I raised my first funding, which in today's time I can say because it's almost been like 5-6 years now, was not a big amount. But for me, that time for my brand, for a small brand to get a fund was a big amount. And the moment it hit my bank, I was like, bro, I'm going to kill it now. And I fell flat. I misused the money. I thought everything has to just go on Instagram, Facebook ads, and पता नहीं क्या ROS आ जाएगा because we had seen crazy ROS. ROS is basically what you invest on Facebook ads and what you get in sales. So that is the metric to understand what you have got from your return from your investment on Facebook ads. So I had crazy ROS during COVID, like 8, 9, 10, 11. I was like, wow, we're going to replicate the same. And COVID was over. Everyone was getting into the whole same new world. And we get the funding in the bank. And I start investing. The ROS has gone half. I was like, ये क्या हो गया? ये तो नहीं imagine किया था. And we just lost. The entire year, we just lost the money. I think that entire funding went to Facebook. Nothing else. And I realized that this is not what we, and then the whole thing in my mind, because we were hearing, it's okay to burn. And the first thing my investor used to call and ask me every month, कितना burn किया इस महीना? It's like, burn क्यों करेंगे? मैं burn करने के लिए business थोड़ी चला रही हूँ. Why will I burn? But this must be the startup lingo everyone talks about the moment you get into this whole investment world. That कितना burn किया? I said, नहीं burn किया. I'm profitable. And cut to now that we changed the ethos back to which we started. I'm a Baniya. I'm a Jain married to a Baniya, and we really work on profits. So that's the blood I have come from. So the moment we realized this is not going to work, we shifted gears, and then we started becoming profitable again. And I said, there is no way I'm scaling or doing numbers which are not going to give me profit. So that's when the self-reflection happened, and the numbers improved, and the second fund happened. So yeah, it really was that growth really led to my delusion being.
We've discussed, I might as well bring funding now in. So, I don't know how this works, so I'm going to ask from like ground zero and anybody else if they have questions. How much of it is in your control once the funding starts? How does this happen? How many of the decisions are yours and how many are controlled?
Absolutely my decisions. They are, as I said, they are going to invest in me. So if they are going to take control of the brand, it's also, you have to see who's investing in you, what kind of fund is investing in you. You have to see what they are looking and what you are looking. So I wanted at this stage, because I'm a single female founder, I wanted a strategic investor because there are so many departments I'm not good at. Accounts, dispatch, supply chain, merchandising. I wasn't good at none of this. I was like, Arey, I'm loving this design, iska 100 bana dete hain. What is the math behind it? I had no idea. Why are you making 100 of a design which might just fail, and then you will be left with so much of inventory and your money is going to get blocked in the inventory? I had no idea of all of this. So I was very clear that when I go in the market, and I spoke to a merchant banker, that I want someone who's going to strategically help the brand, and not only with money. Money is one thing that you need, but you also need guidance. So there is someone in the industry who can also guide you, and that's how we got to know about a certain investors who strategically help. So that was the thing that happened, that I was lucky enough to get funding from a brand who strategically helped us.
I mean, it's almost like a marriage. Please, this thing.
100%.
So, I mean, for example, I can't because of NDAs and stuff. So I had one meeting with an investor, very, very big investors. And it felt like I was being threatened in that meeting. And I came out of that meeting saying, I blocked it, because if that investment would have come through, I would have had to take it. I blocked it because of this reason, because it was like, this will be a marriage made in hell. Because when the person is looking at you as just a number and not as a human being, so when you are for the brands who are going out and looking for funding, your personal chemistry with the investor, the expectations of you as a brand should be defined very clearly before you sign on any dotted line.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I know of designers who have actually taken the investment and today are standing at the point where they've had to either rebuy themselves back, okay, including Mrs. Dongre has had to buy her brand back, or have had to shut down, and they don't even own their own name. So it's you know, you have to be really careful. You are lucky and good you thought about that as being what you wanted.
Yeah.
So my advice to anyone who's going out there looking for investment is that this is more important than choosing your life partner, is who you know. take
I
as an
agree. I think those are some horror stories that I've heard too, which is why I asked. I think you got lucky.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm not at that scale where I can say that it becomes into a horror story, because ultimately, when you're in a younger stage and you don't know everything, you also are okay doing the answering thing, na? Because you say that MIS in the month, why is it red or why is it green? So if someone is going to ask relevant questions, it was kind of good only that someone asked the right question.
No, it's also meeting the right person who's
Yeah,
investing.
because you have the right person.
You have the right person.
Like, for example, you know, also sometimes you should understand how investments work. Every time it's not the same.
Yeah.
So some people are coming in and giving you the money, and I'm not very good at this jargon, so mind my words about it. But like, someone will give you money and they'll be like a strategic partner.
Yeah.
But they're most of the bigger investors, like the LVMHs of India, what they do is they want 51% of your company. That's the deal on the table. They want 51% with the option to buy you out within the next, you know, they give you slots, like, okay, 5 more percent, 10 more percent. Also, they are going to have the option to sell out that 51% to the market.
Yeah.
So you're already not a 51% owner, you're a 49% owner. So your say is already nullified, right? And then, so what the point is, there are hundreds of different deals out there. You have to see what you want, what you're comfortable with, what you want for your life and for your brand, because your life is a very important aspect in this. I'm 49, I don't want to be answerable. And I'm half Banya too, and I have my own, you know what I mean? I bring that to the table, and being able to pivot a business, that something I've learned on the job, has kept me going. So again, it depends on your dreams, your ambitions, your business. There is no one size fits all. Ironically, it's something which is to be customized.
Yeah, I completely agree. Nachiket, what do you think about funding? Have you
You know, I
thought
think
about
I'm fairly stupid when it comes to this. I'll be very honest, because I don't think we've kind of looked out very seriously. Again, like what Nikita said is, I think for a lot of designers, I mean, money is one part, which is of course important. You are really looking for somebody to kind of in an advisory capacity who's going to fill the holes that you know need to be filled. And I mean, while you want to hire, you want to kind of, and also a lot of us also don't want to give up control on what we do, because it's not like a random banana bread brand, you know. I mean, it's like you have kind of, your name is so intrinsically linked to what you're doing. For example, like for those of us who have eponymous brands or something, that it's very much a part of your identity. So you want to be like careful with that, and like they said, you know, I mean, it has to be a marriage that really works. Just because every Tom, Dick and Harry is going into like a big funding thing or a corporate relationship doesn't mean they're happy or it's working for them. I mean, it's too soon in India to again look at somebody else's grass and say, oh, that's so green, mere ko to kuch nahi hai, you know. I mean, I don't think it works like that.
And I don't know how much of it is understood so well outside of the fashion or creative industry. My husband is here, and I think he'll throw something at me, but I'm about to say this. I was talking to him and, you know, discussing what am I going to say on the forum and everything. And I said, you know, I don't know if like this way of questioning will make sense, or, you know, this, because I don't know if growth for a fashion industry works like that, because so much of it is identity and creativity. You know, the way he comes from a tech background. So let's say you made a product, you know, one of his products is, I'm not doing marketing, but say fair. So they make these air quality products, right? It's a product. आपको उसके कितने units बेचने हैं, you know, how much you can expand on it. It's just one, like, it's just Xerox copies of the whole thing. But fashion is such a creative field that I don't know if you can look at growth in a similar fashion, because at the end of the day, like you said, you're only as good as your last collection. And
You know, I'll also add in there, like, I mean, when she was talking of the ROAS or like, the return, I mean, this, I think even we've burnt our hands a little bit trying to kind of make this, because it also at some point inherently is linked to your product, your price point. Like, I mean, for example, jewelry is easier to buy online. Like, there's no sizing issues. If a brand accepts returns, it's much easier. Clothes, on the other hand, if it's custom made, it's sized, I mean, price point also. I mean, I think
Also shelf life.
Yeah.
So we have shop soiling, which in jewelry you don't have to worry about shop soiling, like.
yeah, or even, I mean, like, say sizing, like, I mean, like, you got people that acha dikh raha hai, but like, I don't want to spend anything more than, like, say 15,000 on something online. So there's also that wariness from the customers. Does that apply to your business? Doesn't apply? I mean, whatever. I think, like, there's a Hollywood saying, nobody knows shit. So ultimately, you have to kind of listen to everything, but do what is feeling instinctively right to you. I think that's the only way that I kind of personally have come to accept, because I mean, Payal might give me the most amazing piece of advice, like, don't open a store in Kalagoda, but we have to do.
God, guys, please.
But you
Today
have to.
morning I was in Kala Ghoda inspecting, putting a boat
Well,
out.
So I
Put
feel.
up a story saying finally.
Finally.
Finally. So I think you kind of have to kind of take that punt and do what feels right to you, because only you know your journey, and where you know what is your journey, only you will know. I mean, others of course will advise very good advice, some may give flaky advice, but ultimately you have to kind of accept and take your own call. At least it's your own call.
Make your own mistakes. Also, mistakes and failures are very important.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of what you're doing. If you don't look at it as a learning exercise, I don't know how growth even features in.
No, absolutely. I think a failure is the only teacher.
Which is what I was just
yeah.
telling, that my first funding, I completely lost it to Facebook. Only Zuckerberg made money out of it. I did not.
He's the only one making money
Yeah, right now
regardless.
he's the only one making money. Like my marketing person is here. She'll tell you. So we have this report which comes right at the end of the digital marketing. I don't even understand it. Like you only Tare me, but I have to understand. Like at one campaign, the customer acquisition amount is whatever. 1,600 rupees and with zero sale. I'm like, I'm not understanding this. What is going on? It used to be 50 paisa and 1 rupee, and it's become 1,600 rupees. I'm telling you,
पैसा किस ज़माने में?
I mean, whatever. I'm clearly.
1999.
Yeah, 1999. In 1999, when there was no Facebook. But the thing is, right now, the algorithm, I mean, whatever the Meta, everybody is advertising on Meta, and the. In the earlier days, and this I'm just talking about 5 years back, like because I work very closely with the Pernias pop-up shop team, and they have a lot, and I learn a lot from them, is that there would be something like a 10 or 15% formula. Like suppose you spend 1 lakh of rupees, you'll make 15 lakhs in terms of sale, approx, because that would be the kind of formula for how much you spend on ad spend and what. Today you could spend 20 and you may not even make 1.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no guarantee,
See, this is one thing I can contribute in, is that there are 3 very different brands have had very different journeys. Payal is really the OG, and where she did not really must have worried about ki ROS aaya ki nahi. We started in the journey of the ROS from day 1.
Yeah.
But what also has backfired for us is that we had to dependent on ads only now. So as one thing that I will tell you guys is that do not think that that's the end game. If ads is not going to work, the brand is not going to work. But we did that mistake, that we thought that if the ads are going to perform, the brand is going to do very well. But you have to really segregate your business into different avenues of getting sales, like offline or your WhatsApp, because the whole PP situation on WhatsApp is also a big thing. There is no way you can not do the conversion through your customer support. Like especially in D2C, although now that I have a team and then they say, no, we have to work through bots and all. And I tell them that where is the human touch? I don't want to talk to a bot. When you're talking to a bot for airline tickets and all, it's so annoying at times.
Absolutely.
I said, I want to talk. It's a sale I'm doing. I'm spending money on a product that I like online. I don't want to keep talking to a bot, but then there is whole marketing and digital marketing team. You have to follow the system. You have to follow the system. Has to be a process, SOP, this, that. So it really, you have to really work on different ways of getting your sales. It cannot be dependent on one channel.
That's the one minute I want to reaffirm that. So whenever we look at our business and whenever I meet young designers or I meet people who are like, starting out, I tell them that you cannot put all your eggs in one basket. And I think that's the one thing I can very proudly say I got right from early on, because we have a strong retail presence. I was, I think, one of the first Indian designers to have a website, an e-commerce website, a standalone e-commerce website. I did international pop-ups. I saw my season being off in India, March to August, and March to August we're traveling all over the world and selling in different countries. When we started to see Indian clothes demand declining, we had a Western line, a Pret line, a kids line, a men's line. So what Nikita is trying to say is also that if you're going to put all your eggs in one basket, like say you are an online business, there will be a point where you will cap it. There is no way to go ahead, and also one business aids the other. So the online, even if the person is not converting online with the ad spend, they're coming into the store. But you should have a store then. Otherwise your ad spend is getting wasted, right?
Nachiket, your Kalagoda store is solid.
No, I feel, again with this, I'll tell you what our thinking is that you look at the law of averages. There was a time when COVID happened and everybody was like, oh my God, the world is going to end, the stock market's never going to pick up. There is a dip, but things will, the larger picture looks like people will need clothes and will shop and will come to a location. So that is the broader optimism at some point. So please open your store.
I also think, even as I do exhibitions, a lot of the offline is coming back, because a lot of people, a lot of online has just become literally doom scrolling. It's not taking you anywhere. The whole touch and feel, I need a reason to step out, is very strong and is coming back.
Community also.
Yeah, and also for a brand like us, which is so much of handwork and exquisite detailing. Those clothes can't be bought even in an exhibition is what we realized,
But that's where the whole geopolitical and the unrest and all come in now. Suddenly you will feel that the mall is absolutely empty.
Yeah.
But that's why you have online.
Yeah, that's where you have online.
But which is why we've also done a whole round of exhibitions, some were total disasters because bahut acha hai, kar lo, even this ad spend itna to karke na 3 months you have to burn money to see. This is usually the digital marketing agencies who are telling you this.
Yeah.
3 mahine to karke samjhega nahi, then only we will get a data customer base, blah blah blah. So point is that for my business, I know we are a certain price point, we are a certain quality, there's a certain tactile quality to those clothes. I can't be standing in an event with 2,000 stalls and trying to sell it, the customer's not going to buy it. Online also, it's more discovery rather than where you can touch, feel, see. So then the boutique was the more kind of the next logical step. So there's to each his own.
But what I feel is because with a young brand like mine, I feel the transition kind of helped.
Yeah.
Because you guys were really the stepping stones, and I realized that I cannot early on in the business think of opening the most fancy store in the most fancy location and then start burning. So what worked for us also was that we also did a lot of these shows in different cities. Some did well, some did not do well, but we also got to know where to open, not to open, what kind of feedback we were getting from the customers to work on. So that really, really helped before we got into opening a full-fledged store with all these DLF and Phoenix and everyone. Because we did a lot of these shows in cities, Indore and everywhere.
Also, a lot of things that I've noticed in my personal experiences, online's become so messy and crowded because every second person's open an online store, is on Insta selling stuff. So many of my experiences, perhaps in the crowd as well, when you've ordered, it's just not right. What you've paid for in terms of product quality is not right. And that slowly has broken your belief, because initially it was filtered, curated, and now it's not. It's just everybody's out there, and how many genuine people versus how many imposters are there out there, it's just something that you've got to discover. Guys, anybody has any questions so far? Anybody wants to share anything before I move on to AI?
Everyone just agrees with us because everyone is going through the same thing.
So, you spoke about tech when it came to, scaling up. And tech is, easily valued at 8x or 10x. What about fashion and fashion-related beauty investment? What is the valuation? How did you do the valuation?
Was it 2x? Was it 3x? Yeah.
It was 5x.
It's between 2 and 5, I was going to say.
Yeah, it was 5x. But again, a lot of factors matter. The numbers are seen. again, what stage the business is at, or one parameter has to click for them to see.
So it is 5x for jewelry, but not for fashion. I want to just tell you that it's 2.5 is quite high.
So I really feel, Payal, the price point really makes
and the
a
price
difference.
point, yeah.
The price point makes a difference.
Yeah.
If you're catering to a niche market, you're looking like a new terms I have learned,
So
Mastic
brands
and all.
like ours is 2.5, 3 is quite high. So
Yeah,
like we're
yeah.
doing like, say a 50 CR turnover, it's 150 crores. So just because even I learned all this, so I'm trying to impart. So if you do 50 crore turnover, the valuation of the brand would be 150. And then the investment that comes in, the percentage of what you give the company would be based on 150. So if they give you, say, 50 CR, that means you're giving them 30% of your company.
Yeah.
Just so, it's easy. But so products which have garments they're perishable. Even though they're not edible, they're perishable because fabric sag, dust sits on them, So like what we call
Also
shop
has
soiling.
this,
Little
own
bit.
level. Yeah, the tarnishing happens, the
Tarnishing,
polishing, the
yeah.
plating.
Yeah.
Plating issues are a
So like I said, food
massive
business,
issue.
each business, but based on many, many factors, has that,
Yeah.
different ratios of valuation.
While you were bootstrapped, for your jewelry
Nikita.
brand, Nikita, sorry. You were bootstrapped at some point in
Yes,
time, right?
yes.
So at that point in time, how long did it take you to grow? Because right now, all we speak about continuously is spending, spending, spending. You're spending on ads, you're spending on marketing, you're spending on a physical store, you're spending on every avenue of
Yeah,
a sale
yeah.
channel, right? So while you were bootstrapped, how long did it take you, and what were the avenues that you felt your first top 3 that really helped you scale up?
I'm sorry I'll be saying this, but I'm a COVID baby. This brand is this COVID. I don't know if you all know, but COVID gave birth to a lot of content creators. They made houses for them. They made a living out of COVID. So our journey also took major flight in COVID, where we saw like 10x returns to the investments, because by then I had started doing very small investment in Facebook ads. This was like very, very baby steps we were taking, but it like blew. And how?
So at that point in time, you're saying that the online presence being very strong was what worked for you.
100%. And what also worked was because everyone was at home and consuming so much content. And that was the time I was telling her also that Instagram had launched Reels. Each and everyone was making Reels for people who are sitting idle at home to consume. So people who were making money, and people who were consuming were just losing it. But yeah, I also jumped on the bandwagon that time, and I had, luckily, when the lockdown happened, I had a box of jewelry lying at home, and I was telling her, Radhika had approached me during COVID to do a video on how to clean silver jewelry or something. And I was so naive that time, I didn't even know there is a way to edit videos. I thought I will have to keep, if I fumble, I will have to make again. So I made my husband sit, and he was making 50 videos for me. Oh, fumbled again, make again. Fumbled again, make again. And we didn't realize there is a concept called you can edit the video. So that's where we jumped on the whole making reels, and I started making very, 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 if I look at them now, very funny reels we were making that time with Bollywood music as the background, and you're showing your jewelry like this.
I was one of those followers who started in COVID.
Yeah, and then you put those sticker kind of captions, and you were showing your jewelry. So that's where I really like picked up pace. So this, you can say, is 3 years, and 3 years it took, where I had no team. I was replying to each and every PP, and I was replying to each and every DM. And this also leads to me answering one more question, because a lot of times I get asked this question: do you have an agency which we can hire who can take care of our social media? And I tell them there is no agency who can replicate your brain.
Yeah.
Please
I
don't
totally
go
agree.
and look for an agency that
Yeah.
is going to take away your money for nothing. You will have to, it's a slow process. You have to be consistent. It's a very slow process. There is no shortcut. Even if one reel will go viral, it's not going to make you relevant for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So there is no shortcut. You will have to be at it if Insta is your game. If Insta is your game. If Insta is not your game, you don't want to digitally scale, then obviously you don't have to worry about virality and all. But yeah, there is no shortcut. You will have to be at it.
There is no option beyond Insta now. It's your face card, your business card, your everything. It's so tough if you don't want to be selling on Insta or via Insta also as a platform. I feel it is so tough to get your product
But then
out
you
there.
also reinvent. Like there are brands which are doing crazy stuff with Pinterest, with YouTube. Like there are full channels happening on YouTube with brands who are doing series now on things.
Yeah.
So you have to like keep reinventing how.
Again, I'm saying you cannot put your eggs in one basket. So you can, yes, we all have Instagram, and it is an important. It's like like what websites used to be to us, right? But you can't stop at that, because if you do, you will fail, because that's when you will start to limit your own reach and your own brand. So that's why exhibitions are important, like pop-ups, because that's word of mouth. Even someone wearing your product, believe me, treat that person, even though they're buying from you, treat them as an ambassador of your product. Because if you go to a party and someone is wearing a product that you like, the sale you're converting there is way higher than that meta ad.
100%, I agree.
And importantly also, I mean, like while all of this is going on, I mean, I think the most important thing sometimes is the product itself.
Yeah.
I feel like in a sea where everything looks like everything. I mean, if you have something original and unique to say, I feel it's really worth tapping into that niche more, because that by itself is your strongest USP and your strongest ammunition.
That's true.
I feel like if the product is fantastic, then whichever way you decide to promote it, it will find its own unique niche. Because I mean, if the product is mediocre and you're pumping in money, maybe it will work also. But I don't think that's a healthier way to kind of, because you're always going to be trying to catch up. I feel that's something I've personally believed in. Coming to the funny story of, so just recently after the store opened, you're like, "Arey yaar, kuch walk in nahi, main kya karu?" You know. So listen. Arey sun na. No, we've been doing sales, but like not like that December, January kind of thing. So I'm like, chal, I'll do a reel in the video, in the store. Okay, so my store boy only has taken my phone and shot. And I'm like, shit, man, this feels like I'm doing that Naptol on TV, you know? Like, so I was like, kya karu? But trust me, that reel has got me more PPs and conversions than doing like a 20 lakh rupee shoot with beautiful models and swirling smoke and God knows what.
Absolutely.
I was telling her about this only. None of our campaigns, if I'm going to end up spending some 10 lakh on a pretty model looking the best of the makeup, best of the photographer, it's going to fall flat.
Yeah.
And if I am standing with my hair all over, my kids running around me and showing this, I'm wearing this to office today, and it will be like pee.
Recently, so we had a buyer visiting from Canada, and they came to the store, the Kala Ghoda store. Okay, they came to the store, and something happened, and I was on my own just explaining. I don't like to speak too much into the camera, so I was just explaining something about an outfit, and they were like, all these NRI, this is so lovely, this story and all, and I am the opposite of story. I have the whole story in my head, but not one word comes out on social media from my side. I'm like, you have to imagine what I thought and why I thought. So I was just explaining, and she said, can you just say this for me one more time? I was like, I don't know what the hell she's doing. She just filmed me explaining one outfit. I got 1 million PPs on that, but she posted it. She tagged me, so obviously I reposted it. And that's when I realized that all these guys in meetings keep talking about lo-fi content and, make it very unpolished and stuff like that, and then just show up. And again, I can't, but I'm just trying to say that is what clicks with people versus polished, especially in the world of AI.
Which is why I always
Coming to
say
your
there is
AI.
no need to get into the whole let's look for an agency who's going to take a retainer, and then on Diwali they will put a kandil and say Happy Diwali from this so-and-so brand.
And 1 box of Kaju Katli.
But I think that's also because honesty is really missing. Half the people that I speak to in this room would vouch that that's my opinion about AI, but I will not get into mine since I'm here to hear about yours. Do you guys have you all started using AI for your brand? Are you using it? How are you using it?
I mean, there is no way you can escape it.
Yeah.
First of all, it's how you use it for your benefit, yet stay true to your ethos is what is going to keep you upbeat with AI. Because there is no way you will be like, sab left ja rahe hain, main right jaungi, aisa nahi ho payega. Because there is
you're not going to use a rotary phone, right? You are on a cell phone, right?
Yes.
So, I'm going to get radioactive waves, but you're using cell phone. So, it's like you cannot stay I mean, honestly, it's silly to kind of disregard something which is like how you use it ethically.
Yes.
Because we are designers, the biggest thing we have is our IPs, and that's the one thing which is going to be like negative. So I don't know about what you guys use it for, but simple things that they make simple tasks easier. Like I'll give you an example. A client would normally want a change in an outfit, right? So what would we usually do? Either that we'll have someone who will make a sketch in the office or something on Photoshop or whatever. That would be the thing you would do best, or a hand-drawn sketch would go. Now, which is
Just give a prompt.
to ChatGPT,
Yeah,
you put
same,
in
that's
your
what we
original
use it
outfit,
for.
make the neckline higher, add sleeves, all our famous backless cholis. Everyone buys it with the back, by the way. Add the back, whatever. And in 30 seconds, you have the sketch ready. While the customer, usually the turnaround time would be, I'll get back to you in a day.
In a day.
Like I'll do the costing, I'll give you the sketch, and it'll take at least a day. Within 30 seconds to a minute, while the customer is standing in your store, you can do that and convert the sale. Now, why would you say no to this? Because honestly speaking, it is beneficial, it is faster, and nobody is losing their job to do this. That same person who was doing the sketch is now doing it on AI for you.
It's good at giving the prompt.
Yeah.
Or even in terms of shoots, I mean, it's slightly controversial, but I mean, also what's happened in the last 5 years, especially after COVID, is the rates of everything have just gone ape shit. I mean, you can't do even a moderate decent shoot for less than 3-4 lakhs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like with nothing. I mean, if you want, ekdam basic.
Give me your shoot.
Basic. But I mean, if you're doing like a
Pen
decent
number
campaign,
use, na?
15-20 lakhs to essay, and then I mean, then you're like, look at this waste of like money, resources. You're spending 5 lakhs on doing this amazing looking set which is just made of thermocol kachra the next day, and you're like, if all of this can be done in a more efficient, faster way, why not? I mean
Forget that. Recently, so we just did a line of men's linen shirts, and we wanted to shoot it for the website, and we were thinking, it was planning the shoot, and then I went and saw the male models that were available. I said, I just can't. So we did it in AI, and I'm telling my team, look at how hot this guy is, dude. Even if I wanted to pay for the shoot, I wasn't going to be able to get this kind of a male model. Think about it. In the Bahamas, in a beach club, anywhere in the world. So, using it, like, for example, there's a lot of conversation online about AI content, and they talk about things like AI is for the masses. Like, this is what I'm understanding. AI is for the masses, and, actual real content is now for the classes. So what that means is, like, when you see the Diet Coke, which became famous, the Coke ad, which was done on AI, whatever, it's like a more massy product. Whereas when you do a Lexus ad or something, it'll be more real, right? But having said that, in our business, because we're technically not for the masses, because we are a slightly premium brand, what we try to do is, I try to use, like again, coming back to investment, this is about your own personal ethos, it's about your own personal journey, who you are as a founder, who you are as a designer, what is your business? It's not a one answer for everyone. We use it for technical stuff to make life easier, to get a thing. Like for example, if I had to do a new drop, and I had to wait for the shoot. Then I have to wait for the whole collection to happen, right? Which we will do. Because that will create the content that people can relate to, because it's more tangible and it's more like it's a real person. But if I want to just, like recently, for fun, we made a new sample. I put it in and I did a new drop and we got orders on it. And I was like showing off to my team, like, oh, see, I just did this in 30 seconds.
But it has also to do with the fact, Payal, that internet is so ruthless these days for nothing. And everything has been related to something or the other. For example, AI, from what I understand, has been also linked to the effort that you are doing.
Yeah.
Everyone says, oh, AI कर दिया, इसमें तो कुछ होगा ही नहीं. AI से तो कुछ भी हो सकता है. It's kind of like also true, because you're not putting the same kind of man hours and effort. There's a full-fledged team happening, but everything comes at a cost. Today, if you're paying for an AI video, it's hell lot of cost for an AI video also.
I think there's no one answer. There's no right answer. I think the fact is you cannot ignore it. You cannot avoid it. You should not reject it. That is you being foolish. Like my son, he wants to be a film director, and he's like, oh, James Cameron is going to come out with movies which start with not made with AI and all. And when that whole Ghibli trend came out, and I just did one little Eid post.
I did.
My
and
son,
told badly.
My God, my son and his IP ethics was like, you have robbed Ghibli of his like this thing, because Mr.
we were
Ghibli was
told
crying
so
on.
badly we had to delete the post.
Yeah. But the point was, yes, that was probably unethical, and we didn't think of it. It was too new at that time.
Yeah.
So again, your own ethics, your own value system, but you cannot sit in the world and say, I am going to go in a bullock cart when there is like, airplanes and cars. So you have to move with the time so that others you will get left behind. I mean, honestly, you will get left behind.
Also, I mean, like, because we are talking of from a founder point of view, I don't think it's also foolish to compare your parameters with those of a 400 crore brand who's shooting with 30 models in a palace and like this gorgeous looking thing, because for them it's a drop of their turnover. But for you to try and replicate and blow like 50 lakhs on a shoot is going to be stupid, because it's not like your business doesn't require it. So ethics are great in place. Also declare it as AI content. That's fine. If a brand like Gucci can do it, I mean, you don't have to like shy away. I mean, it's just that I feel like be firm about what you believe and what is right for you. Don't do it because the neighbor is doing it.
True.
I think that's the honesty with your brand is going to be a very important thing going forward, because it's the online world is just starting to get crowded. It's only going to get a lot more as AI comes out even stronger, because then the difference between your content and somebody else's content is going to be almost next to nothing. Right now there was if you could
Another Insta trend that reminds me that I am also is that whole I saw in Met, like people just in AI making themselves they would have dressed in Met with AI. I was like, what is happening?
I saw some with the mango bag, right?
No, not
the
only
outfits,
mango, you just give a prompt that imagine me at Met.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so like I saw so many women doing posts around that if we would have gone to Met, this is how AI imagined us, and then AI boyfriends are happening.
they are.
That's also one thing I cringe.
Guys, I think I've been constantly reminded we're running over time. Questions? Sheila?
Hi, I think it's the most insightful session so far. Thank you, Parul. Thank you, Pal, Nachiket, and Nikita. I think it's more to do from a fashion brand perspective. We are close to a 7-8-year-old brand, and it's all been bootstrap. Some of the conversations have blown my mind already, because from funding to being bootstrap, it's all that you can sit in one place and imagine, like someone who has like a 27-year legacy to 20 years, and I'm like, okay, what to do? Someone actually told me probably somewhere 2-3 years when we're struggling to do business because there's so many avenues. We were also like a pre-pandemic brand. We launched in 2019. And exhibitions weren't happening. We were trying to do online. Instagram was so much different back then and what it is now. And we are like, okay, do I make money? Do I build a brand? Someone told me, are you here to make money or are you here to make a brand? They said, if you want to make a brand, it's at least a 25-year-old journey. I was like, okay. And just want to ask how far that is true, because for someone who's not going to get funding, who probably wants to do it all by themselves, and we still just opened like a physical space, which we are trying to do on appointment basis, meet more people, and also do exhibitions, and also probably try and get on like a website. There's so many things. Like I feel we are at a juncture where we feel saturated, but at the same time, okay, what to do next? There's so many things that we'd really end up at a place where, oh, okay, I don't know what to do. So what would your thoughts be like?
Okay, so first of all, welcome to fashion. This is everybody's life. I would say that to me, you see, the building of a brand when you're bootstrapped and when you're a young designer, okay, is something which should be a byproduct. You are in a business. Please understand, I told you it took me 27 years to acknowledge that, right? 15 to 20% of your earnings, whether you want to say turnover or net profit, that's your choice, should go in brand building, okay? Not more than that. Because especially when you're bootstrapped, when you have funding, you can spend more on building the brand. Right now, in such a crowded marketplace, I'll be very honest, building a brand is very tough. I was very lucky. Because I'm 27 years old, I was able to build a brand. You see, when I started my label, nobody was making Indo-Western garments. No one made Indian clothes in Western silhouettes with contemporary Indian embroideries. So I was really lucky. I was able to build a brand much faster than in this crowded marketplace today. So in today's time, because that's when you are, this is what I would tell you, that you can't do one or the other. You have to do it parallelly, but don't over invest in building the brand, because you will get lost, you will burn, like what they talk about burning. And at this point, you can burn someone else's money. When you are bootstrapped, you have to be. And 15% is what is the formula. I want everyone to understand, because a lot of people, and I learned this from Mrs. Dongre, Anita ma'am, that fashion businesses run on 15% net profit. People think, "Arey, you 100 rupees ka you made, you sold for 400, you have 300% markup." Not at all, boss. 40% goes to the retailer. Another 10-15% goes into marketing cost, brand building. There is cost of garment, which is about 30 to 40% of the retail price. You are left with 10-15% profit. So on a 1 lakh of rupee outfit, I make 15,000 rupee profit. I'm getting abused by the client, but I only made 15,000 rupee. So this is something very important to understand, that building a brand is important, but if you only want to be famous, then that's a separate thing. You know, if you want to have a business, and building the brand is a byproduct. It is something which happens organically on the side.
I also felt with knowing whatever I know of Payal's journey is that she has reinvented a lot with every passing time.
mean, if
she
the
has
question
really
was-
reinvented.
So if the question was, how have you managed to stay open, or how have you managed to be a brand for so many years, and how have you managed
Relevant
to
is
stay
the
relevant?
word, huh?
Yeah, is that to pivot. I kept my business
Yeah.
lean, and when the biggest, like when I understood this was in COVID, that because I was lean, and I was telling you all this story, that I was able to, I did a mask campaign, which led to people wanting those masks. It was just a digital campaign. And we were able to open within 2 months of COVID, because we had a mass production certificate. And who would think that a high fashion brand which makes Indian outfits is going to make masks? And from that, trying to...
Ask, I have your power bank, by the way.
And yeah, of course, that, like, I'm a little greedy. I like to do everything. That's my personal thing. But I think that keeping your business agile and basically something very interesting an entrepreneur told me is keep your ear to the ground. Basically, listen to your customer. That is the first. So when we had women coming in and saying, "Oh, I want something like this. Can you make a matching outfit?" That's when menswear happened. When I became a mom, that's when kidswear happened. When we got into COVID, that's when athleisure happened for us. You know, we did a line called Sleep to Sangeet, where you could wear the same outfit to lounge at home and do your Zoom parties, or dress it up with some jewelry and go out. So I think being lean and being someone who can pivot easily is what helps to build a brand also.
Yeah, I also feel that, I mean, you know, when you're talking of, it's firstly, your first priority should be to have a healthy business, because that's relatively under your control. Yeah. What kind of a brand you build, how it's perceived, what it's valued at, beyond a point is not in your control. Because that's so dependent on market forces that I think focus first on making yourself stable, baki to ban jayega, is what I think.
Another point I would like to add to this is that even in bootstrapped, only thing that you should be working on is building a great team. There is no way, no person on this planet can just manage everything by themselves.
Not at all.
Where we think कि हम सब कर लेंगे, ऐसा कोई नहीं कर सकता. So in whatever capacity you can, smaller, bigger, 10 people, 5 people, work on building a team. There is no comparison to that. That's one thing I can tell everyone. Work on a great team.
Any other questions, guys?
I have advertising. I've done advertising for 10 years before I had my girls. So, you know, that knowledge sort of helped, because that's when Facebook and everything was just coming in when I went on maternity. And that sort of helped, where, you know, I've studied. I've also upskilled by doing online courses to understand how to do digital marketing. Okay. Now, my question is more to do with your understanding of the kids market. And I'll tell you where I'm coming from. I have done, like you said, you know, pivot. I'm online in I'm online. I have my website. I have Instagram. I have done WhatsApp, the catalog and all. I supply to stores in 3-4 cities. Hyderabad is my biggest market, where I think for the first 3 or 4 years, I did shows in Hyderabad, very, very good shows. And that has still given me customers who come back or recommend my brand. And I basically do pure cottons.
Okay.
So even my festive line is chanderis, cottons, mulls, muslins. So that's my USP, okay? And I feel for so long, having been bootstrapped, it's been profitable because, after 2 years, I have not put in any new money in my business. It's self-sustained, it's grown, and, I've moved to a bigger workshop. Having said that, I often feel that kids market is very overcrowded now, with, brands like Edamama, which do good fabric, they've been taken over, they do massive discounts on Myntra and the likes. Also, I feel with kids where there's a lot of resistance sometimes where, I have seen mums in Hyderabad who will pick up, like you said, an outfit for 1 lakh. But when it comes to kid, there's a mindset, right? कि ये तो अभी 6 महीने में नहीं पहनेंगे, right? Like that's Indian moms for you. Or I will pass it on in 6 months. So how do you keep pivoting with that? Because everything that you guys have discussed, I have done it. But I still feel that every few months, I am sitting and questioning myself, what am I doing? Do I still want to do this? Am I doing the right thing? In spite of being, in the green, like I've never had a situation where I feel like I need to shut shop tomorrow. But still, after a point, you just run out of ideas. Like everything that you three have discussed, I've done it. So I just want to get an insight from your kids where, like,
so the first line we did, I fell flat on my head because my outfits were 25,000, 30,000. I thought, oh my God, so cheap. Kids wear 25,000. And the first we did Kids India Fashion Week and to launch it. And everyone loved it. It was so, it was adorable because it was like mini versions of the adult line and stuff like that. And we failed massively because of price point. Second thing, everything was itching and pinching the children.
Exactly. And not to interrupt, but like my pricing for casual is 2,500, 2,200 to 35, 4,000. And my festive starts at like say 4,000 going up to 7, 8,000.
Is it an Indian wear line or it's a
It's
Western?
both. So my biggest seasons are summer and festive.
Yeah.
So which is why when you said price point, I am at this price point. So I just wanted to put that in that how do you then keep navigating?
So like I said, we failed completely, and then literally from the get-go, I understood that, okay, this is not working. It's a price-sensitive market. And especially, so, what we were competing with was not like Edamama, for example. Anyway, it didn't exist then, but it was like maybe Gucci kids. So like the mom is buying Gucci for the child for her birthday parties. So they'll buy PS for the Indian, correct? And there was no Indian designer.
Shadi, Masi ki shadi.
Yeah, exactly. There was no Indian designer doing clothes of that level or, occasion when honestly it was not my main brand. So it was something which was happening, like we were doing flower girls and stuff like that, making for my child, a mommy and me and things like that. But even in that, I realized that, okay, that's just one of a kind. But to actually have little, depth in the business, it has to be price sensitive within my market. So obviously in my market, price sensitive is under 10,000.
Correct.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
Second thing is the fabrics and the fastenings. Like, for example, how does a child enter the outfit? Like, girls are willing to squeeze into a choli and a thing. A child is going to throw a big, huge tantrum if it's uncomfortable to get in for 1 second. So all back opening. So a lot of things I learned on the job. But now coming back to how do you keep this? I'll tell you one trick I learned is try to do a sizing which will work for 5 to 6 years and let that be your selling point. Now, whether you do that by making jeans with a zipper so that they can wear them as shorts later on. So like we designed something called a Zene tunic, which was a sleeveless drop waist dress, which the child was wearing with a churidar. And then I was like, and after she outgrows it in length, she can wear it as a top with jeans. Yeah. And that clicked with my client. And then they were like, Arey, yeah, she can wear this for 5-6 years. And then suddenly the 4,000 price point or the 5,000 price point, which was ridiculous. I was making no money on it. But then that was appealing to them. And now also what happened for us, retail space is very expensive. So we have no kids wear in our stores. So we've made it like a drop. So it only happens at certain pop-ups like it happens twice in the year, and of course it's online. So it also makes it exciting. So another thing I've tried to teach people is how to make something more desirable is for kids wear especially, is to give it as a drop. So it's like scarcity mindset. So like, okay, this is being sold now. It will not come again. I need to grab it right now. So these are just my 2 small ideas.
Yeah, but see, again, that's because you have multiple lines. Like I do infants once in a while. I do pajamas.
Right.
I will do festive, which is, just before Rakhi, we do a small festive edit, which is cotton based. Then we do a heavier one before Diwali. So that's what, like.
So I think the one main thing which you can adapt in your business is to make sure innovatively, how can this piece be worn in multiple sizes? Because that's a big one for parents.
Yeah.
Like for example,
one
a
in
hemmed
3
skirt.
ways sort of thing.
Like a hemmed skirt. So like you have a hem which you can let out so that she can, because kids grow tall very fast. So that's one thing I got a lot of feedback on. So you're going to see, I'll tell you one thing. In any business, of course, we can give you some answers. But some of it
you have to wing it all the time.
Is deep thinking. And that's why I say always listen to the customer.
Yeah.
When we make a collection, the mistake we used to make when we used to make a collection is show it to editors. They aren't buying my product. I ain't showing no editor anymore. I am taking it straight to the customer. So right now I'm trying to launch a new line. I'm wearing it myself and walking around seeing, is it uncomfortable? Is it creasing? Is it, breathable, the fabric? So the point is the customer, the wearer, the user is the one you need to take the feedback from, And that's like another thing is like one big win for me was that the kids loved our clothes. And then the mothers would call me up very hesitatingly and very grudgingly saying, because it's expensive. Like, but so-and-so only loves your top. Now what am I supposed to do, And you have to make that, so even though the mom is shopping, the kid is wearing. So if that kid falls in love with your product, like they used to fall off to sleep in our salwar, like kurta pajamas and stuff, because of the fabrics we're using, soft mulls, pure crepes. So then it's like the parent has no choice but to come back to you. So there are few things you can work with to make it more desirable.
Cool, thanks.
Okay.
Guys, it's been a lovely discussion. I've gotten several reminders. Is there a question? Can we make it really quick because I'm getting a lot of flack from the back. Ask.
I think today, especially with the amount of digital information being thrown at us, like you go on Pinterest, it's like a Alice in Wonderland well. Yeah. I mean, you can start looking at chikangari kurtas and like end up with like leather outfits for dominatrix, Like, kahan se kahan jayega, you don't know. So I think somewhere you have to kind of identify who you are. And I kind of look at it as the process of negating. Like I say, okay, this is not me, or this I do not like, or this is what I don't want to do. And then you kind of come up with what repeatedly feels like you. And somewhere kind of stick with that. I feel that's very important because, I mean, like I keep telling, my whole team, like we're not Shiv Sagar. I mean, no offense to Shiv Sagar, but like we can't be selling jeera rice, ye, wo, sab kuch. Like, you have to kind of identify what kind of a niche you fit in and do that really well. So a little bit of the Hindi word therao, I think, comes in where you're not distracted by 25 shiny things, but what you really feel is A, what you're good at, and secondly, what you feel your customer will want from you. Both.
I'll add to this point also. We have recently hired a digital marketing head who comes from FMCG background. Now he has come with this whole understanding that, Nikita, cut down on the SKUs. You're launching too many SKUs in one collection. So I always have this feeling, मैं Zara पे जाती हूँ, you keep scrolling. That is the fun, na? You want to see more and more designs. So he's like, you are really building a long tail inventory. Please, we need to cut it short. We will only launch 5. I said, we are not a skincare brand. How will I launch 5 toothpaste and say, अब इस toothpaste को वापस लेने आ जाओ? You can't be wearing the same earring in summers and in winters and in weddings. I said, no, it cannot happen. We cannot just launch, we're not a toothpaste brand. You're not going to come back to the same product. You have to keep reinventing. But yes, again, you will have to see that what works for you. And
build a brand, you have to have an identity and you have to stick to it. So maybe your personal taste can keep going wherever. Please wear it in your personal life. But when you're selling, and again, I don't know which designer it was, I'm thinking maybe it was Sabya or someone, said that when something is yours, you have to repeat it to own it. So like DVF, like the Diane von Furstenberg's wrapped dress, I'm sure everyone knows. The first collection she showed it was a sellout, and then she realized that this is a very important silhouette. So in every single show of yours from the last 30 years or 20 years, that wrap dress will come in a different print in a show. So like for us, it's a backless choli because everybody has copied it, but I'm like, doesn't matter. We will show it because it is ours to claim it.
Yeah.
You know. See, I had a very clear identity of what I wanted. I was making Indian clothes for girls like me who didn't grow up wearing Indian ethnic silhouette. So for me, that brand identity, and I'm very lucky that because it's my core. So no matter where I go, like so many times people ask me to make some very pretty red lehengas and this tradition. I can't do it. It's just not my thinking. So honestly, you will be able to, if you're going to do that, if you'll be a jack of all trades, you're not going to be able to make it.
Yeah.
Having an identity, you can experiment in your own private this thing, but eventually you're going to have to stick to one identity.
You know, I also feel, I mean, if you're not somebody who's able to kind of come up to one thing as your thing, say try 5 different things as small drops.
USP has to be there.
And then you see what, I mean, maybe you like them in a order of preference of 1 to 5, but your customer's liking one very strongly. Then that overlap becomes your answer. I mean, like say what I do for costume for films, like say a film like Tanaji, the Unsung Warrior. It's so different from what I do as a brand. Like there is no connection at all. But that for me is like a little departure, a little vacation. It's a different part of my brain working. But doesn't mean I try to put like my, you know, like a Nachiket Barve festive look with like, you know, Maharashtrian saris and like a nath and all that, because it's not me. So
Yeah, also, you know, having curated and hosted a lot of brands, I think design language is extremely important. I miss, I think a little bit of it is diluted, but a lot of the times the beauty of it all was if I saw somebody wearing an outfit, I was like, oh yeah, I know, you know, she's wearing that brand. And although that's getting a little bit lost, I think it's extremely important to have your own language, your own identity. And I think, yes, from year one, it's just good to know who you are because people need to know and recognize you. We'll have to wrap it. I just, in one sentence, if we could just, we've spoken about struggles, we've spoken about downs, we've spoken about ups. 10 years from now, just one sentence, where do you see fashion? Where do you wish fashion just goes from here?
I think the need of the hour is sustainability, and that's what we have to work towards. That's the only thing, because we know this, what we are going to leave for our kids ahead. So that's the only need of the hour, because rest everything is already happening in abundance anyway. That's what I feel.
I mean, personally for me, of course, sustainability, I have a young son and I worry about the future of, you know, especially fashion being the biggest pollutant and, you know, contributor to the environmental hazard. But I see we've never been, like, you know, a lot of Indian what you call journalists ask us this question. I'll tell you one thing, Indian brands are the most sustainable around the world because most of our businesses are made to order.
Yeah.
So actually we are not the ones who are the pollutant and we are not the H&Ms and all. I think for me, having Indian, the word Indian be dropped from Indian designers is my desire for the future of Indian fashion. I want it to be that this is this designer, this is Nachiket Barve, that is Nikita, that is Payal Singhal, not this is the Indian designer Payal Singhal. If I can drop the word Indian from my name and from all Indian designers, that would be my true dream for India.
I think for me, 10 years on, you know, craft and our craftspeople, looking at what they are doing as a continued, sustainable and growing source of income and identity is something that I really wish and hope for. Because I mean, already we are seeing that a lot of the second generation of people we have been employing are not doing that anymore. Yeah. I mean, they're working in a mall or they're doing computers or whatever else. So I wish that more Indians, because we are such a large population, really feel that the craft, manufacturing, clothing, fashion, jewelry, artisan sector is something that they see a long-term future for themselves and the next generation. I think that's a big gap that we're going to face.
I could be here for another hour. I don't think I'm done, but we have to be done. So tonight's just reminded me that growth is not just scaling. It just has so many components to it. I hope you guys got good insights. I know I did. Just to have to watch this conversation a few more times to just grasp so much that was said today. Thank you all for being here. I hope we get to do these more often. I hope we have more conversations with you guys as well. I'm I'm really glad, filled with gratitude for you to support the commune, and hope to see you guys again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.